Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, Canine Behaviourist at Good Doggy. So today I'm going to talk to you in a bit more depth about Maslow's pyramid of needs. I touch on it a lot in my videos. I mention it in brief because it really is very important to help us to understand how sometimes our dogs make decisions and how they choose the behaviours that they choose. So I'm going to really focus in on the Maslow's pyramid of needs today. We're going to talk about how it works and how it affects our dogs' decision making in their day-to-day lives. So Maslow's pyramid of needs was created originally to describe the needs of a human and prioritise them. So at the bottom of this pyramid here, this is the dog's version of it. It's not dissimilar to the human version. But at the bottom, we have our physiological needs. So we can see here that at the bottom of the pyramid, we have breathing, eating, drinking, reproduction, exercise, and sleep. These are our most basic primal physiological needs. And these needs, when left unfulfilled, will always prioritize all of the other needs that we might have. So it doesn't really matter what else is going on in our lives. If we are starving, or we are very thirsty, or we are tired, those needs will always come first. So we'll always attempt to fulfill those needs before anything else. So you'll notice that at the bottom of this pyramid here, I just mentioned reproduction. So reproduction is a physiological need. It is there right at the bottom, and it has the same level of importance as eating and breathing and drinking. So this is really very important because I think this often surprises people that a dog can prioritize their own reproductive needs just as highly as they can getting a meal. It's there because reproduction is an essential part of being an animal. But what's interesting about it here is that we often talk about neutering our dogs, spaying our dogs. And when we do that, there's a whole big debate around neutering and spaying. But when we do that, what we do is we take reproduction off the table of needs. We stop it being a priority need. Because it's right at the very bottom of the pyramid, it does mean that it is prioritized over other things like resources and territory, learning, confidence. All of the other needs that your dog might have will all be overridden by the need to reproduce. This is very, very powerful. So a dog will put themselves at risk in order to reproduce if that need is feeling unfulfilled. So if your dog is feeling, perhaps you have a male dog and he can detect a female dog that's in heat in the local area, that is really going to liven up that need for reproduction. So there's no amount of training that you're going to be able to do in order to teach your dog to not follow that instinct. It's on the bottom of the physiological needs. It's the bottom of the hierarchy of needs. So it'd be like teaching him to not eat. A dog will not be able to go without eating, and he can't go without that reproduction need being fulfilled when it gets triggered. So when we have our dogs neutered, then that just takes that off the table. He doesn't need to reproduce anymore. That need does not get triggered. So it can help in that kind of respect. But it's just important to know really that reproduction is there at the bottom, and it is as instinctual and as important as breathing and eating when that need goes unfulfilled. So something to think about if you're considering neutering your dog because they prioritize sexual behaviors and you've struggled with that, then that's why that is. Okay, so your physiological needs are at the bottom: breathing, eating, drinking, reproduction, exercise, and sleep. The next layer up here, the next layer of importance is your safety needs. So these are safety of your own self, your family, your home, your possessions, and your resources. So this could be your territory and what is contained within it. So if for a wild animal, for example, we'll consider if their territory had plenty of resources, if there was lots of food they could catch, there was plenty of water, lots of sheltered spots for them to sort of rest in, then that is their resources. Their home and their territory kind of just fits around that. So this is the second layer on the pyramid. So what this means then is that if a need is unfulfilled, these are the orders in which your dog will choose to fulfill them. So if your dog is starving, he will put himself at risk because his safety need is less important than a physiological need. So he will risk his own safety in order to fill needs on the very bottom of that pyramid. If everything on the bottom of the pyramid is all fine and he is not having any unfulfilled needs there, then his priority will be the stuff in the safety layer, and he will prioritize this over everything else that comes above it. So above safety, we have love and belonging. This is his friendships and his family, intimacy. So this is him snuggling up with you on the sofa. So if your dog fears his safety might be at risk, let's say, for example, somebody comes to your front door, your dog will give up the intimacy of snuggling with you on your lap and will choose to run to the front door because safety trumps love and belonging. So that need has suddenly become more important. If your dog is very, very thirsty, then he would rather go and drink water than do any of those things. So this is kind of how this pyramid is shaping up. Above love and belonging, that is your self-esteem, that is your confidence and your sense of achievement. So if everything else is fine in the pyramid, then your dog will start to concern himself with needs of confidence and achievement. And he will then start to look for reward. He will start to look for approval. So up until now, if any of those needs underneath this esteem layer have been unfulfilled, then he is not interested in winning your favor and your rewards and your praise. So that comes above love and belonging, and it becomes above safety, and it becomes above the physiological needs. Right at the very top, learning and creativity. So this is his ability to learn things that you're trying to teach him. If you take your dog to dog training classes, then you'll be teaching him lots of tasks and lots of tricks in there. So that's right at the very top of the pyramid. You notice this is a very, very long way away from those physiological and safety needs that are at the bottom. Those are much more important than learning and creativity. So when you see your dog in the park and something frightens them, then no amount of trying to get them to sit or look at you or any of those things is going to work. The top layer, learning and creativity, he is not interested in anything on that layer. He's not interested in winning your approval or your reward. So esteem is off the table. He's not interested in snuggles and pets and cuddles. So love and belonging is not of interest to him. All he cares about is making himself and his space feel safe. So this can create a bit of frustration for people if they have a reactive dog or an anxious dog or a very hyperactive dog, because they will react and respond to stuff that's happening in their environment when their owner is trying to get them to do things that they usually are pretty good at. They're waving treats in front of them, trying to get them to sit. But this unfulfilled need that has suddenly turned up is trumping everything else on this pyramid. So this is why that's not working. If your dog is needing to socialize more, maybe they need more friendship, family, and intimacy, they're lacking socialization, again, your training is not going to work. Your dog's going to see a dog in the distance, they want to run over, they want to socialize with them. That need is outstanding. So that has trumped their learning and creativity and their esteem needs. So they are not seeking reward from you. They are not looking to fulfill any of their training that they've been taught. They don't want to learn anything new. All they are thinking about is fulfilling that need. And until that need is fulfilled, everything else that comes above that on the pyramid, they are not interested in. So this can help explain a lot of the frustrations that we have when we feel like we've done a lot of work teaching our dog new tasks, new cues, new tricks, and then all of a sudden they just won't do them. This is why, because a need has suddenly become more urgent than that stuff at the top of the pyramid. It's right there at the top. So almost everything comes over that. Everything almost trumps all of that. What's very interesting about the pyramid of needs is that what we're looking at here is an adult's pyramid of needs. But when we think about a puppy, their pyramid of needs doesn't look the same as this. Puppies are interested mostly in learning, in achievement, in creativity. They like to experiment. They like to try new things. They are little sponges. They're learning about their environment, their space, who they are, where their skills are, and they're practicing those skills with each other a lot. So for them, the top half of the pyramid is actually of priority to them. All they care about is playing with their friends, learning new skills, building up their confidence, so that when they are old enough and ready, they can start to fulfill their own safety and physiological needs. The whole puppyhood part of their life is about preparing them to be able to take on their own safety and physiological needs. As a puppy, though, that's their mum's job and their pack's job and their family's job. Their family will provide all the food they need. They will make sure that there's a safe space for them to grow up in. They will make sure that there's plenty of opportunities for them to sleep, and they'll get drinking water. They're not concerned about reproduction. None of these things start to really matter to them until their hormones start to flow and they start to become adults. And then when they become a teenager, this kind of mixed up, very unsure, uncertain time is really about this pyramid readjusting itself so that your dog, your puppy, can now grow into an adult. So this is a transition period while they stop looking at the top of the pyramid and suddenly the bottom half of the pyramid is starting to become important to them. So you can almost imagine that actually as a puppy, this pyramid is upside down. And the stuff there that's at the point, those are the important things. And as they become a teenager, that is the transition between the pyramid being upside down and righting itself, and those safety and physiological needs suddenly becoming important to them. And that intimacy, love, belonging, family need will start to mean different things to them. So their whole set of priorities, their whole world, their whole function and role within it changes during that teenager period. And this pyramid of needs falls into a much different order to what they've been used to up until then. And we struggle with this transition period as well, because we're used to a dog that is only interested in playing with their friends and putting everything in their mouth and just sucking up the world around them. All of a sudden now they're barking at people that come near your garden fence. They are humping. They are looking for more exercise. They sleep differently. So everything has suddenly changed. And this is why. It's because that pyramid of needs is readjusting now to turn them into an adult. So we kind of understood now what the pyramid is, how it can affect decision making. We know what a puppy pyramid looks like, and we can see now why being a teenager is such a turbulent, difficult transition time, because all of that now is flipping on its head. So what do we do now if we want to try and fix this? So if we've got a behaviour problem that we're looking at, your behaviourist might well talk about preliminary training, underlying causes, the root of the problem, all of this kind of stuff. So this is what they're talking about. They're talking about this pyramid of needs. So when you have a problem that you're trying to address, you need to find out where that need is. What's the unfulfilled need? So you take a look at your pyramid of needs here and you see where does it fit onto there. So if your dog has a problem with reactivity, then we're looking at safety needs. We might also be looking at the love and belonging, intimacy need, but mostly that's about safety. If we're talking about a dog that resource guards, then we're looking at the resource need, but also probably food as well, depending on what kind of resources they're guarding. So resource guarding could also include family. It could include food. It could include a mate. So depending on which resource they're guarding, could include both those layers at the bottom of the pyramid. You have a dog that can't rest very well. The sleep need is overdue. If you have a dog that is very protective of their space, then that's their safety need. So when you have a problem behavior, that's where you're looking at. You're looking at which need needs to be fulfilled. So when you solve the underlying issue, that's what you're looking at. So you're looking to really boost your dog's fulfillment of this need. So if it's a food guarding problem, then we're going to be getting them into a routine of eating food. We want them to believe that food is plentiful, that it is not threatened. We need them to know that their resources are not under any threat in the local area. So we take them out for plenty of walks. We make sure that we're fulfilling all of that stuff. So what can happen is we start to withdraw the kinds of food, things that we might give them. We change the food. In a negative way, though, we say, well, we shouldn't be giving them high value food because that just makes them more protective. But actually, we should be doing the opposite. We need to reassure our dogs that there is never going to be a problem with food. That is our problem. We've fixed it and they can relax. But really, the best way to do that is to get them into a very nice routine of eating at set times. Very often, resource guarders will pick at their food throughout the day. They eat at random times, and this causes fluctuations in their blood sugar levels, in their mood. It means they never get a full tummy, so their body never actually accepts that they've had enough food because it's just a trickle through the day. So that's how you would work on that need. If you have a problem with security, you might introduce a door answering routine. I've got a video all about that. You can check that out and see how a door answering routine could help your dog. Essentially what we're doing is we're including them into this kind of door answering protocol. We're letting them see that you are vetting your visitors, that you are setting kind of boundaries, if you like. But it gives them a job to do at this time, so they feel like they're a part of it, but they can see you actively checking the stuff, you know. If we are talking about a dog that needs more exercise, then clearly what we're going to be doing is taking them out for more walks, or we might be introducing different kinds of exercise so that they are exercising in different ways. So there's lots of different things that we can do when we're looking at that pyramid. A dog that has problems with resources as well in the local area, might teach them little games, sniff games, where they can search and discover and hunt, and they can use those instincts in that kind of way. If they are under socialized, if they have a real social requirement, then we'll be finding ways to get them to socialize with other dogs, maybe take them to the dog park, maybe we try to get more visitors, we take them more places where there are people. Sometimes if people live out in the middle of nowhere, maybe they don't come across others from one walk to the next. So making an extra effort to go to places where other people and other dogs are walking can help to meet that need as well. And dogs don't have to play like mad with every dog they come across. You know, just being in a social setting can be useful if they're not getting a lot of that. So that's what we're talking about when we're addressing the need first. So we're stabilizing that part of the pyramid. We're making sure that they're happy enough with that. We are talking about neutering perhaps, we're talking about creating safe spaces, boosting trust and boosting resilience will all come in next. So we can see in the pyramid here that confidence, achievement, resilience comes into this part here. So once we've fixed the bottom half of the pyramid, now what we're doing is we're building up that confidence, we're building up a sense of achievement. So you might be given tasks to do, little kind of routines to teach your dog, some little tricks. Often I'll try and find things that are very useful. So if I want to have a dog that's going to be involved in a door answering routine, then we'll work on a sit and a stay. We might start working on recall or something else, just something that we can use. We might be introducing a clicker. All of these things will start boosting confidence and resilience, and they'll give us a good way of rewarding our dog as well when they actually give us a behavior that we really want. So we're moving up the pyramid now. We've started at the bottom. We've fulfilled all of these needs. We've stabilized that. Now we're working on building confidence and achievement as section 2. The very final part of the behavior training plan, that's your learning and creativity. So all of the stuff that we've been teaching them, now we're going to use that to break the habits that have been formed while those needs have been unmet in the past. So if our dog is in a habit of guarding his bowl, then once we've established that he doesn't have a food or guarding need outstanding, he might still be going through these kind of motions of doing the behavior, and you will know that it feels different. When he was guarding his bowl at the start of the process, it would have had a real intensity about it. It would feel quite frightening. And as you go through this process, whilst the behavior may look the same, the intensity of it will change, the feeling about it will change, and it basically means that this has become more of a habit that just needs to get broken. So we just need at this point now to teach them a new reaction to that situation that really matches how they now feel, because that old reaction is still there, but just like any kind of habit, it's not easy to break. So we need to give them something different to do instead. And if we've introduced a clicker or whatever, then we can start to use that, or we can start to use rewards as a way of reinforcing this new behavior that we're trying to get them to use instead. Because we've worked our way up the pyramid here, we know that achievement, intimacy, confidence, those things are now starting to kick back in again. So our dog is now seeking our approval. They're seeking rewards from us, and they're really enjoying them to the absolute max. So when your dog was all stressed out in the park and you told him he was a good boy, he probably heard you, but it didn't mean very much. Whereas once we've got him to get calm, where he feels safe, now you tell him a good boy. Now you'll see his little tail wriggle. You'll see his eyes light up. You know, he understood that, and he really valued it. But whilst that other need is not fulfilled, then it's just noise. Giving him a good boy or whatever, it's noise in the background. So this is why you work up the pyramid this way, and why the pyramid is so important to your behaviour training. It also gives you a few extra clues about different kinds of rewards as well, because often we use treats quite a lot, we use praise quite a lot, and these are fantastic treats. We use clickers a lot, I do, and these are really good ways of rewarding your dog. And when he gives you a behaviour that you want, it's never going to hurt to offer him any of those things. But because we've been looking at this pyramid and we know what the behaviour was there to do, we know actually that there could well be better rewards there for him. So if your dog is missing out on a social need and he wants to socialise, but he's too excitable maybe. So perhaps you have visitors that comes to the door and he's so excited to see them. He needs to socialise really urgently and he's jumping around them like a lunatic. His goal at that time is to be sociable. He wants to get a pet from your visitor. He wants to talk to them. He wants to get some love from them. So that on its own is actually going to be a pretty remarkable reward. So if we can somehow meet that need for him so that he's not feeling like it's urgent and outstanding, he can be calmer, then we can try and encourage him to do something different actually that we would prefer. So maybe we would prefer him to be sitting or lying down or just standing still even, you know, just something very simple. Then we can use attention, which was the goal of the behaviour, that was the unmet need, as a reward for it. And that'll mean far more to him than a treat or your praise or anything like that. He got what he wanted in the end, but just a slightly different way. So that's us meeting the need, breaking down that habit, and then give him a new behaviour that he can get rewarded for in a way that he probably would have preferred in the first place. It's the same with food. If a dog is really, if they're feeling that their food is lacking, then often this is the case for dogs that have become rescues from foreign countries. They've been brought here, maybe they've had to fend for themselves, they've lived on the streets for a while. So these dogs will always have a bit of a sensitivity around their physiological need of food. So food is a great reward for them because that's a goal all the time. They are always looking to fulfill that need. So therefore food can work really well for that. Intimacy and family. If that's an outstanding need, then your love and your cuddles are going to be a much more powerful reward than any food. If your dog is looking to expand the territory and get off the lead and explore in that sort of home and territory safety need, then you know, being allowed to explore, for like giving him things to find, those are going to be far greater rewards than praise, for example. So if you can find a way of using that unfulfilled need in a kind of a reward fashion at the end of the process, then that is going to be even more useful than just using praise or treats or clicks as well. So you've got lots of different opportunities, but the first thing to do, figure out which need is being unfulfilled at that moment, what has become urgent, fix that. Then you can start working on new types of behaviours that will replace the habits and then add a reward at the end. You can see now how a behaviour problem really just requires a good understanding of the whole of this pyramid and where everything lies and how things will take preference over other things in your dog's day. So you can watch him flip-flop from one need to the next all day long. When his dinner is half an hour late, his eating need will suddenly become urgent. Somebody comes to the front door, then his security home need will suddenly become more important than anything above that. So if you're trying to teach him something or you're snuggling on the sofa, that's gone out the window, and now he's interested only in that safety need until that has been fixed, and then he will move back to the other needs, you know. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them, but do check out the other videos because I could talk about all day long about different kinds of protocols and things like that. So hopefully that's been useful, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care for now. Bye bye.